if you're stuck at a job that you don't like, if you're stuck at a place where you don't see yourself growing, I'm going to give you some warning signs that I experienced in a previous job that I had. For those of you who are new, I have a video on my channel explaining that I spent 5 years at a warehouse. So in my opinion, I feel like I wasted those 5 years, but you know, to each their own opinion, right? So there's a couple things that I noticed before I left that if I had known what these meant, I would have probably left a lot sooner. Now, a couple people commented on my previous videos saying that, you know, one person commented they spent 20 years at a job. Another one spent 12 plus years at a job. You know, I saw a lot of comments of people that, you know, related to the video. So I wanted to put this one out there because if you're in a job currently that you feel like you're stuck in a way, it's a weird feeling, right? You feel like you're stuck, but in reality, you can leave whenever you want. Like you could just leave. But I think the fear is like, damn, like what am I gonna do next? Or what's the next step? Or like stuff like that. Those are the thoughts that are like going through a person's mind when they're in this situation. But there are some warning signs that I'm gonna go over real quick. And the first one is not being taken seriously, right? So I'll elaborate on that. So when you first start a job, let's say, nothing against janitors, let's say you start as a janitor at a hotel. Let's say you work at a hotel. You are a janitor, that's your first position. And a year, 2 years passes by, right? You start to kind of move up, get different positions within the company. Maybe you are a door person now, and then eventually work your way up to becoming let's say an assistant manager, right? Let's say 3-4 years later, it doesn't really matter. But the point is a person progressed, right? Let's say you progressed, but higher management still sees you at whatever position they hired you as. So in this case, it's a janitor, right? So this dude's a assistant manager who started off there as a janitor, but the managers still see him as a janitor, and not that they give him those tasks, but they kind of talk down to the person, right? Another example, let's say you work at a mechanic place, right? You start as one of the grunt workers, right? I don't know the terminology for the positions, but let's say you're the guy that hands the technicians the tools, right? You're in charge of like keeping things organized, like basic level stuff, right? A couple years goes by, you eventually start to be one of the lead technicians, and possibly even a managerial role where you're managing others, right? The bosses, the owners, or higher management still sees you as that position that they hired you as. And that's like a pattern that if you don't notice it, it'll literally like just go right over your head. That's what happened to me at this flooring place, right? So I started off as a driver, eventually became a manager of the flooring distribution center, but I was still looked at as the driver. Like, even on the website, still there as the driver. I want to check it actually in a couple days or today and see if my name's still on there. That kind of just shows how like hands off they were with certain things. Like they hired someone else to do the web development, and I told them, hey, I can help you out with that. That stuff's not that hard. They went out and paid a couple $1,000 to some random people that they found online. So, hey, whatever. But that's the thing. I offered that. I said, hey, I know how to do this. This is super simple. It's not going to cost you anything. You don't even have to pay me to do it for you. Like, I'll help you out with it, right? And I have a background in building things like that, like just website layouts, just how to do different things, right? How to set everything up, what it's supposed to look like. And I was seen as the driver. in that situation, even though I already climbed the ladder, right, to get to where I am, still looked at as the driver. So anything that I suggested that was beneficial to the company didn't matter. Sorry guys, I'm trying to change the lighting, but yeah, let me just change the lighting real quick. So essentially anything new that I come up with, it wouldn't even matter what it was, because I would essentially still be looked at as a driver, like, oh, this guy's opinion doesn't really matter, or I don't take this person seriously because I know their journey, I know where they started from and what they've become, right? So with that being said, like, it was just very difficult to just move forward with that. Like, yeah, you are progressing, but it does get irritating after a while when you're asked in situations like for advice, or what would you do in a situation, then when you give it, it's not even taken. It's like, what's the point of asking, right? When someone else will bring up that same situation because they entered at a mid-level position, now they get taken seriously. But because I started at a certain position and I'm in a higher spot than they are, it's like, oh, okay, like, this person came in as this, so we don't think that they know as much. It's like, oh, but it's all good. I never really had that, never had an interest for warehouse or flooring. Like, that's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So that was only a temporary stop. So I tried mentally not to take things personally, but it got pretty annoying. So you guys might be in that same situation where it's just things you say aren't taken seriously or aren't taken into consideration. That's a better phrase. So that's one of the big warning signs that you should just leave. You should have a backup plan, obviously, but you should plan on leaving, because if you're not taken seriously, what's the point of being there, right? Another warning sign that you need to look out for is just randomly giving tasks to keep you busy. So I'll put more context into that, but like things that they wouldn't give to certain people. This has nothing to do with color, race, gender, nothing like that. I'm saying like people that are, let's say, in a position or two higher than you are, right? Like they hold certain people on a pedestal, so they won't give them these tasks. But then you, even though you're on the same level with those other people, they'll give you those tasks because you started at a lower position. Once you start getting tasks like that, and they're not even being, this is very rare, by the way. This does happen, but this is rare. You're giving tasks that are kind of like BS tasks, right? That no one else would want to do, and be like, oh, okay, like you take care of this, you do this, and see what you can give us. Like, it's not really a task that benefits the business. It's just a task to just be a task, to just get done. Like, it has no benefit to the company. That's when you know that they don't really, like, it doesn't matter if you're there or not. Like, someone's gonna do that task. Like, it could be like something dumb, like, I don't know, cleaning the walls or like stupid stuff like that. That's when you know it's time to leave, because they just think of you as like, okay, let's get our money's worth, because this person's here. Doesn't matter what position they are, but they're gonna do this for us. A lot of companies do that, but it's very, very difficult to spot. Once you start getting hit with that, like, it's time to start looking for something else. Another warning sign, this is something I experienced at that flooring distribution center when I was a driver. Certain, let's say the things that apply to you aren't taken seriously. So let's say, let me kick this off. So let's say you have, all right, let me just explain my situation. So I had a bonus in place. Every time I went upstairs, we would get paid extra. The thing is, certain customers or certain people, they would waive that fee. And every single drop off for them was going up the stairs. So I was losing out on hundreds of dollars, because every time we went to this person, which they had a couple jobs every month, would always go up to the second, third floor. So I'm like, okay, so I'm getting like 50 to 100 extra as a bonus, because it is tiring when you have like a 60 to 110 pound bundle on your shoulder and there's 50 of them and you have to go up the stairs one by one by one by one. Like, that's gonna take you a little bit. And then there's a bunch of variables that go into it, where maybe like, oh, the wall is like a tight turn, so you got to lift the bundle up this way, and you got to turn like, or someone's living there and you got to be careful of all their stuff that are in it. Maybe they didn't clear the area. Maybe there's a rug underneath that you don't want to slip on and freaking have the bundle slam on your shoulder, which happened to my brother, by the way. And that was interesting. The way he told me that story, he was kind of annoyed because they didn't even like ask if he was okay. They're like, oh wow. Like they said it the first time, but they didn't ask like a question that you would ask in that situation. So it kind of annoyed him. But I feel the same way. Imagine you slip on someone's rug and it almost like it could have, we don't even know if it separated his shoulder, but it could have hurt his shoulder. Now he has to worry about, damn, like, can I do this job now? Because I mean, we're putting the bundles on the shoulders. So now that that's hurt, it's like, I'm gonna miss out on work now. So what ended up happening in that situation is one of the other dudes from the office came out, did the rest of the order, and then they left. But yeah, stuff like that. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, once they just kind of like give you the, oh, this person doesn't really matter, so like we'll waive this for the customer because it's not really affecting us, right? And it was just so easy. Also, there were a lot of times where they wouldn't even ask about the second floor. It's not affecting them. That bonus doesn't go to them. But one, they're not doing the order. Two, they're not dealing with the customer. And it's like, that bonus is set in place to kind of like, not incentivize, but like make it worth it to like put your body through that. People complain, normal people, right, that don't have like jobs like this. They complain about bringing groceries up to the second, third, fourth floor, whatever floor they may live on. Just imagine a 60 to 110 pound bundle on one of your shoulders and doing that 50, 60, 70 times. Like, I never cared for the 30 stacks, because that was only 30 trips, right? Like, that was whatever. I think that was 30 of them would have been like an extra $15. So I didn't care too much. But when that happened multiple times in a week, now I'm losing 150, 200 a week that I should have been getting. But now you're not gonna charge this customer? Like, no. That was the third thing I noticed, that I had to go. I had to leave. I had to find something else. And then the last straw was, I'll make this quick because I don't want this going over too long. But pretty much, I was working with this dude, and I'm like the vet there, right? We went out on a order, right, to deliver. I forget what it was, but long story short, he was only there for like a year and a half, maybe, yeah, a year and a half or so. And he eventually went to his old job because, you know, it was a very physical, taxing kind of job. And me, I didn't have any managerial duties that day. I was out doing orders, deliveries with the drivers, right? So it was just me and this dude, and he tells me, hey, I just want to let you know, I put in my 2 weeks. You know, I found my old job. I'm going back to my old job. They are actually hiring me for better pay. And I was happy for him, right? I was really happy for him. I'm like, dude, good for you. Like, you found something. I think at the time I was looking for something else too, but you know, it wasn't crazy serious. But then it hit me, like the last day, like I was like, damn, like, you know, it's good to see you, like, you know, moving forward. But shit, what about me? Like in my head, I'm like, damn, what about me? Like, I need to get out of here. I've been here already, what, almost 5 years at the time. I was just approaching the 5-year anniversary. And I'm literally still here, and I'm still seen as a driver. I used to hate when people would say, oh yeah, the driver. Like, no, that's not my identity. Like, I need to create my own identity, right? And that was more of it, right? So then I think this is a Tuesday, so this is the second day. What is it? Second day that I'm by myself, or it might have been a Monday. So the first Monday that I'm alone, I had this big truckload, so I was designated to just deliver for the whole week. And the owner comes up to me and says, hey, we need the best version of you. You know, I'm working on getting a couple hires on, so we can bring it back to, you know, a normal workload. And in my head, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna put in my 2 weeks, because I'm not trying to do this anymore. And it just, when I was alone, it just hit me. I'm like, this is not worth it. It's really not worth it. Like, I'm literally like, I feel like a hamster on a wheel. Like, I'm not progressing at all whatsoever. And I just told him, I'm like, put it in my 2 weeks. And I felt bad telling him, because, you know, the owner's a good guy. He always means well and stuff, but I had to be, you know, I say selfish. I have to think for myself, you know. I'm not really progressing there. I don't want to be known for what I'm doing. Like, and in my personal opinion, like, all I gained there was managerial experience. Like, you have dudes that are getting hired after me, but they have seniority over me. Like, that does not make sense to me. That it just was not working, and I had to go. So I know that's not really like that's like a bonus, but it's like, if a job is like not making you happy, you're gonna get to that point where you're just like, all right, this is the last straw. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. And it's okay to start over at a job. Like, it's okay. When you find something that you're passionate about, then that's a little different of a story, you know? But I wasn't passionate about that. Like, bringing flooring on my shoulder, hurting my shoulder, like putting myself through pain for what? Like, at first it was good money, but it just got annoying just with all the little things. So yeah. Oh, I guess a bonus. I just thought of this. A bonus, if you notice this at your job, it's definitely a sign to leave. If they constantly reject you for time, not time off, because a lot of jobs do that, but if you tell them, hey, I'm gonna give you a heads up, the next couple of weeks I'm gonna be having to leave early, maybe I have a doctor's appointment or something, like, you let someone know ahead of time, and then they don't like acknowledge that when it's time, or maybe they just forgot, they're not thinking about you. They didn't even take the time to write it down and clear time for you. Now you have this big order. Like, this happened to me one time. I cleared time out, and they knew weeks ahead of time that I had to leave early that day. And nope, you need to do this. It's like, dude, I told you that I had to leave early this day. I literally have it in writing. So that's just another example. If they don't acknowledge stuff like that, it's time to go. So there's a lot of other signs that I might have not covered. If you guys can think of anything, comment them down below. And what's your experiences working at a place that you're not a fan of, right? What's your timeline that you're willing to put up with until it gets to that point where you're just like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta find something. I gotta do something. Comment that below. Whatever it is, comment below. But good talking to you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys should be seeing on the screen recommended videos that YouTube thinks that you will like. I'll catch y'all next time.